A couple of weeks back, Boardman blew everyone's minds when they released a carbon bike with zip carbon wheels and SRAM red for 5,500 quid. To put things into perspective, if you added up all the prices of the components, you're basically getting a frame for free. The value seems to continue down the range, and we've got hold of one of the other models. It's green. Welcome to First Look, the series where we check out new and interesting bits of bike tech and give you the rundown on the things that actually matter. Let's get into it.
This is a Boardman SLR 9.6 in size small. It has a carbon frame and fork with minimal branding. It has hidden mudguard mounts. It's UDH, has 36mm tyre clearance and aero-looking tubing. Ultegra Di2 12-speed group set with hydraulic disc brakes, Zip 303S carbon wheels, Goodyear Eagle F1 tyres in 30mm, Pro logo scratch saddle, and Boardman carbon seat post with aluminium Boardman bar and stem. The stem has a fairing and the cables are routed internally through the head tube.
We're now going to weigh the bike. There is nothing on it. It's as it comes. No pedals, no mounts on the front, any of that stuff. I think the claimed weight is 8.3 kilos. And it's 8.3 kilos if you round up. So, well done. Good work. It doesn't always work like that, does it?
It definitely rides a lot better than the price tag, but it isn't as premium as a top-end bike. But you wouldn't expect it to be. Definitely doesn't climb as well as the last bike I rode up this climb, but that other bike was £7,000 more expensive. 7 grand more. It's agile, it's nimble. It doesn't feel like a slug, but it's clearly proving harder for me to get up this than it normally does. So I would say yes, my cardio notices the weight, but the bike doesn't ride heavy.
I think this climbs quite well. It's a little bit heavier than I was expecting when we put it on the scales, but it is nimble, as you say. It is nimble. I mean, as you would expect from a carbon frame. Carbon frames are getting good. We haven't come across a bad one in ages, even at the lower price points.
This model here is priced at £3,500. That puts it firmly into our Rager piggy bank category. It's an expensive but serious bike with electric parts and carbon components. But as we will see later, this spec is pretty much unseen at this price point. It's worth mentioning at this point there is one small cost-cutting choice they've made in the form of a 105 cassette, not an Ultegra one. Not a massive deal, but I thought you should know. As well as the high-end SRAM one I've already mentioned, they also do a 105 model below this one, which costs £2,500. It's Shimano 105 and alloy wheels. They then do a couple of more affordable models in this new range, but those are a different frame entirely, different layup, different spec.
So these Boardman bikes are sold exclusively through Halfords. Halfords is a UK humongous shop that's on industrial estates that mostly sells automotive parts and also bikes. And Boardman's one of their brands. Whoa, look at that red kite! Look at that! It's a f***ing eagle! What just happened? Do you not think it was going to eat us?
Just a bird.
Anyway, back to the video. So Halfords, big business. Some of you will know that Halfords mechanics perhaps don't have the best reputation. So we are going to ask them what they are doing or have done to ensure that with these lovely fancy new Boardman bikes, they are making sure they're getting to customers absolutely dialed in fantastically.
Halfords say their mechanics are trained to industry-recognised standards, and following an investment at the end of 2024, they're also trained to service Shimano Di2 and SRAM access-equipped bikes. So maybe they've got better. So who is this for? They say in their marketing that this is built for all-out performance. I mean, yeah, it's a carbon frame with high-end components on it. They've even wind tunnel tested it and found that it's 5.7 watts faster than the old SLR. But they don't specify what speed they tested at, so that information is pretty useless. But is that really the market they're going for if it has 36mm tyre clearance and mudguard mounts? It seems to me this is more of an everyday practical bike rather than a race bike. And that's A good thing. Is it fair to say that this is going to suit most people's everyday riding needs better than an all-out race bike? I think probably yes.
Oh wow.
How's it feel on the cobbles?
Not great. I'll be honest with you, not great. We don't have particularly high pressure in this bike on these tyres either, but you definitely notice British roads. Some more cobbles.
There's 5 sizes available, ranging from extra small to extra large. There's nothing fancy going on here. Head and seat tube angles are all pretty common. The size range is what most brands tend to offer. It's not the most slammed bike in the world, but it's not an endurance bike either. We're somewhere in between. It's going to suit a lot of people.
This is quite high at the front, isn't it? The thing is, the bike was supplied to us with quite a few spaces. We don't want to chop the steerer and slam it for the next people who have it for test. But even then, it's quite a high stack compared to a race bike. It's not an endurance bike, but it's a bit like the Basso that I tested a few months back. It's not an out-and-out race bike. It's a little bit more relaxed and is going to suit more people because of it. Jimmy, why is it that every day we come out to film, it's really, 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 really windy?
Crank length, stem length, bar width, all scale with the frame size, which is great to see, but they don't vary quite enough in our opinion. This is a recurring theme in these first looks, and loads of you are going to know what I'm going to say here. It doesn't go small enough. But at least they admit it. The smallest bike is not small enough, particularly if you're a woman under average height. The small redeeming feature is that on the geometry table on their website, the calculations they put based on height and inseam at the top are pretty spot on. They say the lower end of the extra small is 5'3". So if you're less than 5'3", go somewhere else.
So I personally own these wheels and these tyres. What the f***? Did he literally just pull out?
Yeah.
What a dickhead. Anyway, so, as I was saying, I actually personally own these wheels and tyres, not the ones on this bike, but the same type. And they're absolutely fantastic. Some people obviously get a bit weird about hookless rims. I've not had any issues. I've run them with gravel tyres. I've run them with road tyres. No bothers at all. I think they're a really, really good value set of wheels. If you want a fast carbon rim, they're absolutely fantastic. And the tyres are legitimately some of my favourite tyres in the world. They're so good.
That horse is your size, Jimmy.
Why is there such a tiny horse?
Livability, which is a made-up word. There's some choices that they've made here that does make this bike easier to live with than most other race bikes. For example, the mudguard mounts, plus points for that. Plus points for a normal bar and stem, because you're inevitably going to swap these bars out because they are a horrible shape.
Thankfully, the handlebars come in 38 centimetre on a size small. Unfortunately, they're also 38 centimetre on the size extra small, which is probably a bit wide for whoever's going to buy that model. I'm not really a fan of the shape of the handlebar. It's long reach and the drops are very short. It's just a funny shape in general, to be honest. Thankfully, it's not like a one piece or anything, so switching it out would just be the case of undoing the stem bolts, untaping it and putting a new bar in. You get the same bar no matter which model you go for, so even if you're going for the SRAM red one or the 105 one, same handlebar and stem, which is, they're pretty basic in alloy, but they're fine. Do you see if it sprints well? Look at this stiff bike! It's good, man!
The back end of that previous clip has probably got me almost crashing. The challenges of being a cameraman on a bike.
Cameraman never dies.
It's going to be easy removing the bars to pack your bike away into a bike box. And plus points for no strange diameter steering tube or any weird proprietary stuff like that. Except for the seat post, that is proprietary and aero shape. They could have just put a round seat post in, couldn't they?
Right, let's have a look at this stem then. I really want to get like a drill for this, like an electric. This is the longest bolt in the world. Okay, so that's obviously not a traditional shape, which is probably going to prove that there are some limitations. A little cap on the back, which hides what is a normal looking stem. Let's see what happens if I want to drop it by a couple of spaces. Right, so that's come off easy enough. Because it's internally routed, you have these snap-on spacers which allow you to add them in when the cables are in the way. Which means if we want to change the height of these bars, we're going to run into some challenges. It's actually neater than I thought it was going to be. There's actually space on the stem for circular spaces. You either need to be okay with it looking like this, which I guess is just like a normal traditional stem, or you're going to want to be cutting down the steerer to account for the drop in the spaces, which means you then can't put it back up. So it's not terrible, but I think I would just rather see just a bog standard normal stem headset setup that just doesn't have the little bits of faff. Obviously they want the cabling to be nice and neat and integrated to make it look modern, but it's kind of like this weird limbo place where yes, it's better than a one-piece bar and stem, but it's not as good as just a bar and stem. It's quite tight. It almost feels like it's cross-threading a bit, or maybe there's like dirt in it, but there shouldn't be because it's a brand new bike. The axle itself is absolutely fine. I am a little bit concerned about the quality of the thread in the fork. Obviously, we haven't. It does work, but I guess perhaps it's just something to consider. Is it as good quality as a really expensive bike? Perhaps not, but it isn't a really expensive bike. I'm gonna fucking lose these now, aren't I? That was actually an accident. I've done exactly what I said is the thing to avoid. There it is. Got it. So this is your seat post clamp. It sits inside of the frame and clamps against the post. And the reason we hate these is they always end up falling in your frame, and then if you're really unlucky, they actually get stuck on your BB. If you're not unlucky, you turn it upside down and they fall back out again. A traditional clamp, a traditional collar is just a better product. It's better for people to be able to use. To be honest, this isn't the worst one we've seen, because some, they fall out into about 4 or 5 different pieces, whereas at least this is one single piece. Something I do want to talk about. So the bike that we've received, as far as I'm aware, it's a brand new bike. Yes, I put a lot of pressure on them to rush it because we wanted to get this video made ASAP. This bolt here and this bolt here that holds the seat,
The chair.
this bolt here and this bolt here that hold the saddle in place, some people call it a chair, have been partly rounded off. So I've emailed Boardman for comment, and they say,
The bikes are assembled in a fixed jig at the factory for consistency and accuracy. They say they sample check all of the bikes that arrive as part of the first production, and this isn't an issue they found on any inspected so far. However, they appreciate the feedback and they're going to feed it back to the factory. It's worth noting at this point that Boardman offer a lifetime warranty on any bikes sold after 2017, and they said that they would send us a replacement post if we needed it, and they'd do the same for any customer.
You don't really get a choice in the colour. So if you go for the SRAM one, you get a white paint job. If you go for the middle option, the Ultegra, you get green, and then if you go for 105, you get blue. They've all got this fade. Some people are going to love it. Some people will hate it. I think it's relatively inoffensive. The graphics are also pretty modern and very, very small. Look, just a little Boardman there. And some other stuff written on that I can't read because it's too small. Oh, hello! Hi! I thought she was angry at us, and it turns out it was just our friend Helen.
So what else on the market is in the same category as this? It's a tough one because the price almost puts it in its own category. I mean, with the SRAM Red model, if you're buying SRAM Red, you almost might as well buy the bike and just get rid of all the other parts. Decathlon make a Van Rysel RCR Pro for 5,500 quid. Bear in mind, this is the Pro version with a higher end carbon layup. Canyon do an Ultimate CF SLX with Ultegra, which is £5,999, potentially a lighter frame than the Boardman. And Cube do an Agree Pro with a similar spec, but less money for £3,299. It's not even worth putting the traditional big brands into this section because the prices are just wildly different.
So with the house wheels, feels pretty good. Still nimble, still feels light. Definitely harsher. This road it's almost smooth. It's a little bit bubbly, and I can feel every single bit of that slinging itself through these handlebars. So the house wheels are alloy DT Swiss wheels with Pirelli tyres, and we put them on every bike we can so we can get a good feel for what the frame feels like. And in this case, I would say those Zip Through 3S's and fantastic tyres that this bike normally comes with are doing a lot of the work in making this bike feel pretty smooth, because it does not feel smooth anymore.
Still feels fast and fun, it's just got a lot of road buzz, which we haven't felt always when we switched out the wheels onto other bikes. Sometimes they still feel like the same bike, whereas this is like, ugh, big change.
I'm going to be slightly nitpicky about this bike. As we know, the value is insanely good. Do you get what you pay for though? There are some things on it. For example, the paint is a little bit bobbly. There's some patches which either the carbon hasn't been sanded down or the paint has just been applied thicker in some places. The bolts here that have been rounded off, maybe that means they've been made of soft metal and they're not the highest quality. The through axle in the fork feels very stiff. Have we experienced that in any of the really high-end frames? No. Even these little bolts that you use to fasten the bottle cages on, they're not as nice as you'd find in a Canyon or a Scott or a Specialized. But none of that matters because the frame is free.
We absolutely love what Boardman are doing here. They're pulling the price down. It is going to have an impact on other brands out there seeing things like this happen. It looks good. The spec is great. They're thinking about normal people's riding position rather than pros riding positions, and we love to see all of those things. It is a good bike. It isn't a great bike. For me, it's a pretty good bike. It's got some pretty strong company, to be fair.